Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Hale, and I'm going to give a speech on gun rights and gun control. I'm going to give a self-introduction before I begin. First of all, my name is Joseph. I am a life member of the National Rifle Association, a voting Republican, and I'm an avid shooter. I gun range about once a month. And I served in the Marine Corps for about 8 years, and had tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan countless times, 4 to be exact. Pretty much what I'm going to talk about today is gun control and gun rights. For the most part, it's going to be how states can and will enact firearm legislation based on the political and social views of that state, city, or district. The Disarmament of America, which goes with the 1982 a full firearm ban that Chicago had, pretty much all the way up to 2010 when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional. And my personal belief on the topic is that there needs to be reform. Now people do need to take classes on it, on gun safety, gun control, and everything of that nature. It needs to do basically start at the local level and work all the way up to federal. I do not believe that there should be a full nationwide firearms ban. We do need firearms in this country, and if you can look at the on the picture on the slide, it says banning assault rifles would have prevented the Sandy Hook shooting. And then on the bottom of that slide, that picture says false. Connecticut already had an assault rifle ban, which is true. That goes with all the gun-free zones. Again, more shootings happen at gun-free zones than anywhere else in the country. And I'll go over that later on in the slides. Then, here we have a quotation from an 18th century Italian criminologist by the name of Cesare Beccaria. He says, the laws that forbid the carrying of firearms are just of such a nature. They disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to protect the homicides, for the unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than the armed man. Now, that's the words that he just said spoke, I think, perfectly to the gun right and gun control issue and the guns ban of Chicago. Now, basically, because now that's pretty much common sense. Now, if you take the guns away from everybody, law-abiding citizens, then who's going to have the weapons? The criminal offenders. Now, the criminal offenders, the criminals, they're not going to voluntarily give the weapons up to the law enforcement officials. And then, if you have no weapons to defend yourself with, he said it best. The unarmed man will be attacked with greater confidence than the armed man. Now, the first segment of the speech is rights. Everyone knows the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment states that a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms and not be infringed. What the Second Amendment means to me, what I interpret it as a right to carry, the right to own, and the right to defend my household from anyone who may enter illegally. And then Most people pretty much view the Second Amendment as, you know, you can go out and buy any kind of weapon you want, any firearm, any size, any caliber, any this and that, have as many firearms as you want. That's fine. I say go ahead. And then now you got the people on the other side of the issue saying, well, that's an old, outdated clause in the amendment, pretty much just there, in case the British attack again, But the Second Amendment works as continues to be the fulcrum of the debate of gun rights and gun control. It's always there, and it always will be the forefront of this debate. If you turn the TV on, read a newspaper, a Google search some kind of news from MSN to CNN, BBC, something, you're going to see a story, an article on some kind of mass shooting, school shooting, suicide, what have you. And most of these will happen in gun-free zones, movie theaters, schools, universities, you name it, federal buildings. Now, I'll leave it with this. If it's a gun-free zone, I'm sure you can't have a gun in there. That's even if you have a concealed weapon permit. So what's going to stop the criminals from going into that firearm-free zone and committing some kind of crime? Absolutely nothing. Because why would they register the weapons and turn it into authorities? Now back in 1982, the city of Chicago went one step above the nation and did a citywide firearm ban. Nobody can have a firearm within city limits of Chicago, and many of the outlying suburbs followed suit. It wasn't until 1990 where the FBI started looking into everything. They did a crime report. It's called the Uniform Crime Reporting Program. They pulled all the statistics from 1960 all the way to 2008. And this is done by the FBI Criminal Justice Division. They found that in 1990, violent offenses, murders, homicides, carjacking with guns, pretty much skyrocketed about 40% since 1982. That is astonishing. Now that the city has no firearms, only the criminal offenders have them. Local citizens will have to pretty much only solely rely on the police. Pretty much the average police time, response time, is 14 minutes. And that's here in the city in San Diego. The San Diego police will come to you for level 1 crime about 14 minutes. In 2010, the McDonald versus Chicago ruling, that's where the U.S. Supreme Court called the firearm ban unconstitutional. It violated the Second Amendment. And FBI went and did the study again. They found that since 2010 to 2013, violent offenses dropped 17%. That's 17%. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Now that the citizens have firearms, it's kind of weird that violent offenses dropped. On this slide, you can see on the two graphs. On the graph on the left, that's the one the FBI did. You can see at one of the points at, I believe it's 1990, that's when the ban started. I think you can see it the line dropped and then started raising up again in about 1990-ish, around there, and then it started going down again. The purple dashed line on the bottom, that's the United States. You can see that the correlation between the Chicago band and the rest of the United States. The other graph or chart, that is just a generalized crime versus gun scenario. This is put out by the Department of Justice. You can see the blue line is crime, correlates with the orange line, which is gun ownership. Again, as gun ownership rises, the crime is generally going to go down and lessen. Like I stated in the introduction of the laws, now each state can pass their own specific legislation on firearms. If your state is liberal, such as California or New York, they're going to pass extreme strict laws on firearms. Now, let's say Texas, Arizona, Florida, they're going to be lenient on firearms and firearm usage because they're more conservative. And then, for example, California passed AB 1014. This is the new restraining order bill that California has. This one, for the most part, says, let's say your neighbor knows that you have firearms or ammunition or whatever in the house. If he feels that you could be a threat or do harm to, let's say, people in your household, neighborhood, or wherever, he can go to the police, and they can get a judge to sign off on a restraining order warrant to take your firearms. This is a pretty good step on reform, I think. Now, this would go both ways. Good step, whereas, let's say if a crazy neighbor who's always outside, doing something weird, of course, it's kind of weird. But let's say you're just home alone most time and don't really talk to nobody, come to go, in the middle of the night because you work at nights, and the neighbor has something against you. They can get a court order and get you guns. You have 21 days to get a rebuttal and get your property back. And again, driving away business and commerce. In 1850, Samuel Colt, he pretty much got a business started on the riverside of Hartford, Connecticut. This is the backstory. After during the Civil War, he came out with the Peacemaker, pretty much one of the revolvers that changed the world and won the rest. So a little after the Sandy Hook shootings in Connecticut, that state went full gun crazy. Even though they had a pretty solid assault rifle ban, the perpetrator used the assault rifle at the school, and the school was a gun-free zone. It's kind of weird how that happened. Anyhow, the state of Connecticut wanted Samuel or Colt Firearms to get out of the state. They don't want them producing any more weapons or selling any more of the weapons within that state. So what did Colt do? They moved all the way down to Texas, and they've been there ever since. On this slide, there's a anonymous quote from Civil War. It pretty much says, Abe Lincoln may have freed all men, but Sam Colt made them equal. I think that's powerful, especially for the company, for the man himself, and for the weapons that he did during the Civil War. The picture of the weapon here, that's the 45 Peacemaker. Pretty much the first mass-produced revolver that was sold to the U.S. Army during the Civil War. what does this all mean? Pretty much in conclusion, I say a firearm ban is not the answer. A full-on disarming will only make things worse in America. It'll bring crime up unless we have more firearms on the streets. Again, like the study showed, more guns, less crime. Simple as that. A little common sense, I say. Again, I wouldn't need to change all this. I think we should get more classes at the local level, just like driver ed. You're not just gonna pick up a car and go. Before you get a license, you need to learn how to use into it, learn respect to the firearm, and then firearm pretty much respect you. Again, we need more training, more safety classes. Even before you can buy it, you need to take that class. So a full-on ban is not the answer.